Is the latest Peter Jackson-produced film The Mortal Engine That Could? Michael B. Jordan's back to face the untimely death of his father again. And Robin is back in the hood on today's episode of The Real Review. So stay tuned.
Welcome to The Real Review.
Welcome to The Real Review, sponsored by Parametric and Lazy Ape Studios, where you get some of the latest happenings, real thoughts, and perspectives in the world of film and television. Everybody, I am here with Joel Mortal Engine Cunningham.
That's pretty good.
Yes.
Yeah. Funny story about that, actually.
Okay.
I think 1990s around where that came out, 91, 92, I don't know exact date.
Film, I don't know.
I was actually in karate when that film came out. They did a giant viewing party. At my
For
dojo.
real?
Yeah, I was in
That's
karate.
cool. It's pretty special for you. You were Johnny Cage.
I
weren't you?
was Johnny Cage.
Yeah.
But we all showed up. It was pretty fun. And then, literally, we would just, he'd stop the movie,
Yeah.
in different chunks and, start talking about, oh, well, you should be aware that this is how karate actually works. He was, trying to correct the
as
movie.
a teaching tool.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That is funny. 1995, by
good.
the way, for all of our people listening wanting to know the exact date of
There you
Mortal
go.
Kombat.
I was 10 years old.
Yes.
Do the math, people.
Fancy. Anyways,
Yeah.
who am I today?
You are Matt. I think I can. I think I can. Hey.
Okay, yes. Because I am the little engine that could.
Yeah.
Okay.
pretty much.
All right.
Well, you had a
Sounds-
chance to go see The Mortal Engine,
That's true. Mortal Engines.
and I did not.
Yes.
Engines. Yeah.
Engines,
Which
plural.
for me, I don't know why I'm drawing comparisons to The Little Engine That Could. Maybe because it has an uphill battle in my mind to actually
Maybe.
be a good film.
I saw the movie. I don't even know why it's called Mortal Engines.
Oh, jeez. Well, we'll talk about that then, hopefully.
Anyways, so everybody, thank you so much for tuning in, listening, watching if you're doing the video side of things. And basically to give you kind of a idea of what we do if you don't know is this is called The Real Review, where we have Joel, who's maybe a little bit more of a cynic, skeptic, possibly just more analytical when it comes to reviewing, and where you have someone like myself who's maybe a little bit more just okay, I can overlook that, maybe I'm in for the fun, the enjoyment of it more so than anything else, and I can overlook a lot of things if I feel emotionally drawn in or something to that effect. Maybe more positive potentially as well. But yeah, that's kind of what we do. We combine those together to give you what we consider a real review.
Hey-o.
Yes.
There's a name right there.
Yes, that is. It is. It's a
it could
name drop. Roll credits. Okay, so Joel, why don't you tell everybody how they can get connected with us on The Real Review?
Sure. Number of different ways you can get connected to the podcast. I would suggest getting connected on Facebook, which is facebook.com/realreviewmedia. We also have our website, realreviewmedia.com.
Yep.
And then additionally, Instagram and Twitter, which are both at Real Review Media. And then finally, we have, as you mentioned, the YouTubes.
Yep, YouTube.
Which is youtube.com/The Real Review. There you go, Matt.
That
I
was
did it.
Simultaneously, we said that. It was brilliant.
I've done my portion of this.
Absolutely brilliant. So yeah, we got a couple movies we want to talk about today. First one I'm actually pretty excited to talk about, and that is Creed 2. We both had a chance to see this film, correct, sir?
Yes.
So we're going to break that down a little bit for you. Let me go ahead and read the synopsis, and we'll just go from there. So under the tutelage of Rocky Balboa, heavyweight contender Adonis Creed faces off against Victor Drago, son of Ivan Drago, from Rocky 4, I believe. I think it's Rocky 4.
No relation to Khal
Yes.
Drago.
And it's directed by Stephen Cable Jr., which is a different thing. Ryan Coogler did the first one. And it's written by Chio Hodart Coker. Ryan Coogler did help develop it. So there's a lot of that there. Obviously, it stars Michael B. Jordan, Sylvester Stallone, Tessa Thompson, Dolph Lundgren, a number of different people. Oh, yeah, this guy. I can't say his last name, but it's Milo Ventimiglia. You know, Jack from This Is Us.
I know.
Anyways, so Creed, give me some thoughts. Break it down, Joel.
Well, I didn't honestly know what to expect going into this too much.
Well, what did you think about the first one?
Weirdly, I liked it.
Yeah.
I can't say I remember much from it.
Okay.
I was literally thinking about it, like going to see this movie. I'm driving there. I'm like, what happened in Creed 1? What happened? I'm like literally trying to remember what happened. And I remember liking it.
Yeah.
I remember coming out of theater and going like, yeah, that was a good film. But for some reason, it just like did not stick in there. And I think even though these are different directors and everything, similar to this one.
Yeah.
Overall, really liked it.
Yeah.
But it's probably not going to be a film that I'm like, 10 years from now, I'm going to
Yeah.
be like, oh man, have you seen Creed? Have you seen Creed 2? Those are great films. But I liked it.
Yeah.
I think there was really some good solid elements in the story. There were some aspects I kind of missed for me that I think it felt more of like a modern sensibility of filmmaking.
Right.
And I think in some ways that was good. In some ways, because the older ones, they've gotten a little cheesy at this point. Eye of the Tiger. Da, 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 da. Some of that's good and that's timeless, but then there's definitely elements of the stories that have kind of like, Ivan, I will break you. And, Russia versus, like things like that.
This sounds like a good plan.
Yeah. But overall, I would say I had a positive film viewing experience.
Yeah.
And I will get more into detail after you have had a chance.
I enjoyed it. I think overall I enjoyed the fights. I did feel a sense of urgency and tension and danger and like kind of almost like tenseness as I was watching these things. So that was good. I got to give a lot of credit to the acting in it. Michael B. Jordan, I've never seen him do a bad job ever. Yeah. He was solid. Amazing. I enjoyed all the aspects of it. I liked that it's not just a boxing movie. It's got like a familial drama thing,
Yeah, on both sides of this one.
The first one had that too, but this one I feel like it was more
a
little bit different. It was obviously different drama, but I thought that was good. So it's tackling not just the boxing elements of it, but it was shot really well. But I did enjoy it. And I did like the first one more, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a good film. Good film.
I think what didn't quite make it there for me, just to go there. Well, we can start with positives.
Yeah.
If we want.
Well, that's what I was doing. I just did my positives.
Yeah. Michael B. Jordan, once again, stellar job.
Yeah.
In this film, I think he did a great acting job, as well as Tessa Thompson.
Yep.
I think both of them and their relationship felt very real and very, very understandable. I also really enjoyed the sort of side plot idea of Sylvester Stallone and Dolph Lundgren and kind of Sylvester Stallone's character, Rocky, sort of in his own way overcoming some demons from the past.
Yep.
It wasn't that he was like floundering and making a bunch of mistakes in the movie, but there was repercussions of actions he had taken in the previous series, and he had to kind of deal with those ghosts of his past, including his son, which has been a part of the series that's been kind of like in there but not really done well, and maybe because the first time his son was a really prominent role in the films, I think they mishandled that really badly. So I enjoyed that aspect of it. I think it was shot really well. There was some excellent cinematography that was there at different times, and I really enjoyed some of the staging and the production design. Yeah, it felt like a real modern, like professional heavyweight fight, and these are real guys that are really in it. Which sounds cheesy, but you can watch some of these films these days, and it's like I don't even know what's going on. Where it missed for me, and this was like the big thing, is I'm going to generalize and say most really good boxing films to me, they have to be about the boxing, but the fight, in a sense, the boxing that's going on has to be more about the stakes that are at play outside of the ring. Because otherwise it's just two guys beating the crud out of each other. And like that can be fun, I guess, but that's the whole reason they do these build-ups with these fights between, even in the real world, they set the two sides and they have the two opposing forces, and there's so much hatred going into this fight, and and there's so much at stake, and and that kind of in a way has to be there with the film too. And I didn't really feel like it did that as well with this one. I felt like the idea of it being related to Creed's passing, although it was important, it never really felt like it really tied into Michael B. Jordan's story in the ring. It tied into more of the things that were happening outside of the ring and the way he was handling his relationships with people. And it felt like more that was what was happening in the ring tied in more to Sylvester Stallone's character, Rocky. So the actual fight, the big, and this is how all the films work. They build it to a big fight at the end. It felt interesting, but I didn't really get a sense of like, wow, he's really going to have, like, if he overcomes here, he's going to have overcome all of these different things. It felt more of like, well, he's just beating another guy and he's really becoming the heavyweight champion.
Yeah. I did. So for me, I think I have different things that I negatives, and they weren't really that negative because I like the movie. So, I thought it was fine. I liked how it all connected. I thought there wasn't something kind of to what you're in effect is not like, as much outside or inside the ring.
Yeah.
I thought that was fine. My issues were there wasn't that much boxing. I felt like
no, there wasn't.
So when there was boxing, I was like, yes, I did really enjoy. I thought it was good to go from someone who directs a film like Ryan Coogler, who's got like a perfect record so far for like his filmography.
Yeah.
To someone else, there's that sense in like a sequel could really take a dip in quality. That's the one thing I thought was really good. I thought it didn't take too much of a dip. Although I did miss some of Ryan Coogler's sensibilities. He was a little more gritty in that first one. I think that's why I like the first one. The first one starts off with an amazing one shot following him all the way through to a fight.
Yeah.
Which was amazing way to open that. But I thought this one did just as well. So I do miss some of the Ryan Coogler grittiness that was presented in the first one. I would say it's not really a negative, maybe more just kind of speaks to me emotionally. The first one ended in a way that made me feel a little bit emotionally unresolved.
Yeah.
The second one like resolved it, but it made me like kind of like, wait, do I like this one because it's resolved a certain way, or is that really good storytelling or not? I'm kind of conflicted on it. But I really did enjoy, I love the familial element of it. I have to think on it more, I think, with how I'm conflicted about this film compared to the first one. But not a lot of negative things to say. Thought it was handled really well. I would have liked to see more fighting.
Okay. I agree with that sentiment. There was only a couple really big fight scenes in the whole movie, and then they were, it was over.
Yeah.
I think the way I would summarize it for me is that when I watched that last fight of the movie, I enjoyed the whole film. There was elements that seemed a little melodramatic and a little over the top to me. But when I got to that final fight scene, I was asking myself the question, like, why does Adonis really need to win this fight beyond just getting the belts and keeping the title or whatever? Like, why does he need to win the fight? And I couldn't answer that question very well.
Okay.
And I think that's, to me, that's a sign, like in the, the Rocky one and in the second one, spoilers, I guess, he wants to win this fight because it's really going to create a sense of like where they can go as a family, where he can go as a person, where he can go as a fighter. Even in the first one, it wasn't even about the fact that he was winning or losing. It was, is he a person that can stand in that ring and have worth and value just by being there? And so this one, I was just like, they're just fighting. Yeah.
What would you rate this thing?
I'm going to give it an 83.
That's actually pretty good. Yeah. I'm actually going to give it an 88.
Okay.
Yeah. Closer to B+ range. And just clarification on our grading. I was thinking about this the other day, just to avoid confusion. Think of our grades more as in the percentages that you might get in school, like a B+, like I say.
Yeah.
So if it's a 50, that's effectively 50 or lower. That's effectively a 0. You don't get any credit. It's not a good rating.
That's fair.
In the 50s, yeah. So that's just kind of my take on that. Next, let's move on.
Okay.
To I got to see this movie. You did not. It's Mortal Engines. Okay, so let me talk about this one.
I'm just gonna sit back and enjoy.
Okay, cool.
Here.
So, in a post-apocalyptic world where cities ride on wheels and consume each other to survive, two people meet in London to try to stop a conspiracy. Directed by Christian Rivers, it's written by a handful of people, and Peter Jackson has a screenwriting credit, and it's produced by him as well. Stars Hera Hilmar, Hugo Weaving, Jehai, and Robert Sheehan, and a number of different people too. And Stephen Lang's in this, with a character named Shrike. Let me just say that. One thing that bothered me about this, let me just say, there's this character named Shrike, and these people that are the other characters in the movie, they have accents, and when they say it, it sounds like they're saying Shrek.
Nice.
So I'm like, I was really confused. I'm like, why? Who's Shrek? I'm like, which one's Shrek?
Just Donkey gonna pop
out.
Like,
why did they name this guy Shrek?
Yeah.
Terrible PR move. But this movie had one thing going for it for me. I'm a sucker for post-apocalyptic films. I love that stuff. I do not know why, but I love it.
Yeah.
This movie I did not really like. Let me just say that right off the bat. I thought the acting was fine. There was nothing really that stood out to me.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing that this movie did to make me not like it was I didn't care for any of the characters. None of them. I cared for, actually, you know what? I take that back. I cared for Shrek. Shrek. And let me tell you about that. His character, if you see the movie, you'll be like, why does he care about that guy? Well, because I felt like there was more emotional ramifications about his character that you don't get to see. There's no character development. They're introducing people left and right, and they want you to follow them. There's literally 2 characters in this movie that the film cuts back to a number of times that whenever it cuts back to them, I was literally like, oh, I forgot about these people.
Yeah.
Like, what? Yeah. What's the point? You know? And for me, let me just say right off the bat, being able to care about a character, whether it's a movie or a TV show, that is the number one thing. If I cannot get behind or care about the characters that you're presenting in the film or television show, I'm not going to enjoy it. That's why there's some shows out there that I don't really start to appreciate until you've seen and been with the characters for a while. Yeah. Because you get to see them grow and you get to get attached to them. Yeah. That's why TV can be potentially a better format for that kind of thing. But this one just not do a good job at that. The acting was okay. I will say that if I were to think of one word here too that could describe the whole thing, it was just bloated. There's too much happening. There's too much stuff happening right from the outset.
Well, it's based on a book series, so I'm assuming they probably had more than enough content.
Yeah, they had more than enough content. I'm sure they were trying to cram a ton into this film, and nothing to say about the books. I've never read the books, so the books might be the best books ever, but I've never. I'm just talking about this movie. I don't think they streamlined it or did it as to the best of their ability. It's actually projected to be a pretty big flop for the studio. So, kind of unfortunate. I will say this. I want to talk positives because I am generally a more positive person. I thought the visuals were really, really cool. Yeah. And there's some really, really cool concepts and ideas, but because it was so bloated, you don't stick around long enough to get to see them or appreciate the world that you're in or the whatever the landscape is that you're in.
I'm just going to say the concept seems ridiculous. I don't know how it played out, but it's the idea of cities being on roving things,
and I feel like they kind of generally talked about it at the beginning. So they kind of like did there was a narration at the beginning, and there was a 60-minute or 60-second war or something. I can't remember. And basically a bunch of stuff got destroyed, and they made their cities mobile to survive. There was a cool scene right at the beginning where they show you the concept of these cities, like how they they planted and then they pick up themselves and start moving to get away from something. Yeah. That was kind of cool. I kind of like that, but they don't stick around long enough for anything. Like, here's a new thing. Oh, cool. You're like, oh, this is kind of, okay. Nope. They're moving on to something else.
Are they super fast moving?
They can be. Oh, okay. Yeah. They can be. It takes a second for them to get going though. But
I'm just like, are they trying to outrun rockets? Like, I don't
know.
understand.
It's like they're big, it reminds me of big diesel powered trucks.
That's so
kind
random.
Of just slow.
Like, I don't know. The closest comparison I could make was Howl's Moving Castle, but that involves
even know what that is.
It's a Japanese film, but it's a really good one. But it involves magic. Yeah. It seems like the concept here is very just like, what?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really understand what Mortal... Hey, you know what? This is going to be for you, listeners, watchers. I don't know what Mortal Engines means. I don't feel like they describe that in the movie. I don't know what that is. Yeah. So if you've read the books or if you know what they're talking about, comment, email us, tell us. I would be more than happy to know, but I have no idea. I don't really have anything else to say about this movie. It's just more of kind of like, I had no expectations going into it. I'm going to give it a 62.
Wow.
Yeah. D-. I'm like, I don't know.
Engines that die, Matt.
Yep.
That's the idea. Mortal engines.
That's all I got.
Mortal engines that couldn't.
The little mortal engine. Yeah. Anyways, it's all good. So let's move on. There is another movie that we both got a chance to see. Yeah. And this is Robin Hood. You want to take us through that one?
Sure. Okay. So this one, synopsis for it. A war-hardened crusader and his Moorish commander mount an audacious revolt against the corrupt English crown in a thrilling action adventure packed with gritty battlefield exploits, mind-blowing fight choreography and a timeless romance.
Wow.
They really went all out in that synopsis there on IMDb.
Normally on IMDb, you don't get
simple.
synopsis like this.
It's usually like Robin Hood fights to get money.
Robin Hood hangs out with Jamie Foxx.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what this is about, Robin Hood. It's directed by Otto Bathurst. It stars a couple different folks in there. Probably the primary one everybody's thinking about is Robin Hood as Taron Egerton.
Yep.
Hot off the heels of what's the one?
Yeah, Kingsman.
Yep. Eve Hewson as Maid Marian, Jamie Foxx as Little John.
Yep.
Little John. Jamie Dornan as Will Scarlett, Paul Anderson as Gisborne, and then, of course, as always, the ongoing antagonist Ben Mendelsohn as Sheriff of Nottingham.
He's always the English antagonist.
I'm going to go ahead and this is like the synopsis for my feelings on this film. I'm going to retitle this film, and I'm going to call it Robin Hood, The Condescension.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
This entire film, literally, when I was watching it, I felt like it was constantly saying to me, like, a stupid, but I don't even know how. Like, I can't specifically put words to the moments and the reasons for why, but it just constantly felt like the film was like, maybe it was Jamie Foxx's character or something, but it was like constantly trying to like make me realize how stupid I was or something. And I'm like, I don't understand this. I don't get it. I'm here to just watch.
Okay, so we'll rate this film, Joel.
Yeah. No, I really didn't have a good time with it.
Okay.
And there was no real redeeming aspect to the film.
Okay.
In my summary, I mean, some of the fight choreography was fun and lively, I would say, but they're not going to kill Robin Hood.
I was really worried. I'm just kidding.
Really?
I'm not really.
I'm like, really? They throw like 50 guards at him, and you're like, okay, yeah, like they're really going to kill Robin Hood at this point.
In this show, we like to start off with the positives. What did you like, Joel?
Like I said, the action choreaphy, some of it was lively and fun.
I 100% agree. I had some fun with that.
And that was pretty much it.
Okay.
It was basically, though, to me, it was like, well, we have this main cast of characters, because I'm like, they're going to set this up for a sequel. At this point, I know studios too well. Like, they're not going to kill Maid Marian. They're not going to kill Robin Hood. They're probably going to kill...
Spoiler alert, come on.
I'm not saying what actually happened. They're probably not going to kill Jamie Foxx's character, Ben Mendelsohn, but I'm like, if anybody's going to die, it's going to be those two, because they're kind of B characters, and they need a world. They're world building these days.
Yeah.
So, I really just... I had a hard time.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Their stakes weren't there for any of the fights. The story was ridiculous. There was times where I'm like, really, you have a bazooka arrow launcher? Like, I don't know if you saw that part.
That. So let me tell you, Joel. I was telling this to Joel earlier. There's a couple of scenes where there's like, how you have like regular bow and arrows, and then you have like these bigger ones that shoot like giant bows, but like rapid fire.
Yeah,
and you may have thought it was silly, but I thought it made for some pretty cool, fun action. I was like, it gave you some intensity that I feel like I needed at the beginning, but it didn't carry through the rest of the movie.
No.
Let me just say, my positives.
Okay.
I enjoyed some of the action elements. There was a cool scene I really like. Probably my favorite scene is when he it's in the trailer. You don't really see, you don't know what the context of it is, but he's basically trying to rob a bank. I think I like that one the most. But overall, there's not a lot of substance to it. And I think my problem with this movie is the problem is that they're forcing this on you. And that's what I feel like IMDb's synopsis is forcing on you when they say that there's mind-blowing fight choreography. No, not mind-blowing fight choreography. And a timeless romance. No. In fact, there's something that makes me mad. And when movies do this, they typically do it wrong. And I don't really know how you can do it right, but it was a really bad love triangle.
Yeah.
I hated that. I hate that so much. It always makes me feel like I'm watching Pearl Harbor all over again.
Yeah.
And I just do not
It wasn't
care.
even an interesting love triangle.
I don't even know how they really connect. I mean, they showed the first scene is like kind of how Miriam and, Robin Hood meet, but I'm like, I don't know.
This is honestly where it started for me. It started off on a bad, condescending foot. I'm going to just say this is one part I know for sure. When they're doing the voiceover at the very beginning, and they're showing, and it took abnormally long amount of time for the voiceover to finally start, to the point where I was like, well, maybe they're not going to do the voiceover, and then they're like, oh, sure enough, there it is. The guy's like, forget everything you know. You think you know what Robin Hood is about, but you don't know anything.
It was kind of what we thought it was about, though.
It was exactly what we thought it was.
They didn't present anything new.
It was literally like they took, like, there's a scene in this film where one of the guys is talking about the anatomical construction, like the anatomical aspects of what happens after a person's head gets chopped off. And he talks about, like, when your mind gets separated from your, like, he wouldn't even have known what a brain was back in this time period. He wouldn't even know the anatomy of a person to say that.
Someone made this observation before I went into the theater. First of all, there's a couple of scenes, one in particular towards the beginning, where it looks like the lady who plays Miriam is wearing just like a biker jacket, just a leather jacket.
Yeah.
I was like, that looks like she's going out to a club in a second.
The wardrobes in this were ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't, as far as a time period piece, whatever it is, I don't know if they had great design on that. So it's kind of a bummer.
And I think part of the sense of condescension was there was all these fight scenes that would happen, and you would go like, really? Nobody's figuring this out? Like, nobody's figuring out that that's who Robin Hood is? Nobody's figuring out how to handle this? I mean, like, they're literally, Little John is literally riding through the streets without a mask on, and nobody's helping him. And then there would be these ridiculous moments of, like, something that's supposed to be, like, really impactful, and it's just kind of, like, it flies by. Like, his training montage, which literally they have, like, a Rocky-inspired training montage, and they're just like, blah, 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 and he just, like, suddenly becomes, like, 1,000 times better at archery.
They didn't do a good job of showing a passage of time.
One, he's Robin Hood, so he's not going to die. But secondarily, as soon as you give him, like, the ability to pretty much fire off a shot and hit anything he wants at whatever speed he needs to, the stakes are gone.
Yep.
Like, I'm like, why don't you just shoot that guy? Why don't you just shoot that guy? The only little, I will say, other slightly redeeming part to this is that I think they did a great job, too good a job, in fact, of creating really, like, antagonistic evil characters. I mean, they were just like pouring evilness. They were like,
well, Ben Mendelsohn can do that really well.
Yeah, but like the church was like so over the top evil. I mean, they made one line in particular where I really didn't like. It felt very mean spirited towards like Christians and Christianity,
right?
As far as like the perspective that they had on it, and it was
Ben Mendelsohn was talking about, right?
Well, it was actually the cardinal.
It was
actually the cardinal from the church.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but there's other stuff like that, and it was like, why are you being so mean spirited towards? Like, they're talking all about how these horrible Christian crusaders are coming and invading the land of the Muslims and torturing them. But the Muslims first invaded, and you better believe that back then, the Muslims were doing just as bad or worse on their side, torturing.
Yeah, we don't see that side of it.
Yeah, they weren't like taking the English Crusaders and being like, well, we caught you. Here, you have this pillow. I don't know. It just, and that's another way where it felt very condescending, where it was very like, you think that the Crusaders are so good and awesome, but look how bad they are. And I'm just like, again, I just wanted to see an action kind of film.
No, I gotcha.
Yeah. I don't know. I give up.
Okay.
I give up talking about this.
You give up.
Because I'm just going to go down a more and more negative path. The thing I will say, my final reason for giving it the review percentage that I am is bazooka arrows. Like that.
I thought that was cool. I like the bazooka arrows. I will go on record.
He shoots an arrow and it blows up. How does that work?
They lit a fuse, dude.
I didn't even see the fuse.
They lit a fuse first. See, I saw it. It's all good.
I didn't see the
What
fuse.
are you going to rate this thing?
I'm going to give this one 53.
Whoa. Yeah. I'm giving it, I'm not getting it in F range. It's getting a 60. So a little bit higher on that scale.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that is our review for that.
Yeah.
Robin Hood. Will it get a sequel? Probably not.
Probably not. I think this one's failing.
They'll probably reboot it in 10 years or sooner.
Probably.
Anyways.
Yeah.
If you guys got a chance to see any of those films that we got a chance to see, let us know what you thought about them. If we're way off base on our reviews of them, let us know. We'd be more than happy to kind of check out your perspective, point of view, all that fun stuff. Email us. Hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, any of that stuff. Again, at Real Review Media. You can reach us there.
Slight spoilers, but how does Jamie Foxx even know? Like, he knows English. They never explain how his character knows English. He knows chemistry. They never explain how he knows chemistry. He's this amazing fighter. They never explain how... Sorry.
He just knows stuff.
He just knows stuff.
He's a superhero.
It's like Lil Jon, because he's...
Okay.
Yeah, he just knows stuff, okay?
Yeah.
He knows how to make explosives out of stuff. And...
Lil Jon. Anyways, Before we go off on another tangent about why Robin Hood wasn't good for Joel.
I'm done. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Yeah, thanks again for hanging out with us for a little bit. Again, connect with us on social media. Let us know what you thought about all this fun stuff. And Joel, you got anything else?
No, I'm done.
Okay.
I promise.
Well, it's been real.
It's been real.